Hey everybody, this is Perch. Long time ago, I answered a couple of emails from the same woman who was collecting comics and wanting to know what to do about her husband's. I don't remember now. Was she collecting comics? Or the husband collecting comics? I don't remember. Anyway, it's love letters by Perch. Okay. Anyway, here's another advice by Perch. It says, "Hi Perch, been listening to your channel for years. I really enjoy it, and I'll be sad the day you finally announce its end. I was even able to have a nice chat with Sean Gordon Murphy after bringing your channel up to him at a convention in Toronto a few years back. He even told me your real name, but don't worry, I already forgot it because I was too excited to be meeting Sean." Sean! Damn it, Sean. Damn it. Anyway, I'm writing to you because, why would you even say that? It's like, oh, you meet, oh, anyway. I'm writing to you because I'm in kind of a weird and desperate situation. I'm turning to a faceless comic YouTuber for advice. Always a good plan. Some context. I'm a 30-year-old graphic and motion designer in Canada, working for an agency that made Nintendo and Pokemon ads. I got married in October in 23 in Japan to a Japanese woman, but then lost my job in Toronto the following months due to layoffs. My wife thought it would be a great opportunity to come to Japan for a year and try and find work here and experience Japan since I love the country and its culture. All right. That's tricky. Fast forward, it's September now, no luck with any job. I networked as much as I could, went to industry events, sent cold emails, LinkedIn messages, met recruiters, nothing. I'm trying to learn Japanese as well, but it's still very basic. I'm also applying for jobs in Toronto and nothing. Layoffs are a bitch. They are, and the job market's tough, and getting a job in Japan is tough right now. It's plus the market there is tricky, meaning a lot of employers know if they hire you, based on some of the laws of how employment works, like you can, if for example, if you get a doctor to validate that you have health issues or mental problems, like just stress, you can legitimately get 2 years off paid. Like anyway, it's crazy. So as a result, a lot of employers in Japan are really pulling back on hiring and making it very tricky to hire. So it just makes it even more difficult. And not knowing the language is going to be difficult. I mean, there's a lot of obstacles in your way. I think your wife was absolutely right in the sense of if you love the culture and that, while you're young, go experience it for sure. But it is tough. It's a tough road it's a tough road. You'll be glad years later when you've done it, but oof. My wife is supportive. Back to the mail. My wife's supportive. She works and just wants me to relax and not worry too much about finding work, rather just continue building my portfolio and reaching out. But being a man and wanting to start a family, it's killing me not to be able to make a living and having to put my life on hold because of it. I'll note, by the way, in throughout all this, your wife's suggestion of really focus on that portfolio is not a bad one. In your space, the portfolio can often be how you differentiate yourself from others, along with some networking. So one thing you might want to consider just off the start is some internships. It won't make you feel amazing, that like, why am I doing kind of unpaid or barely paid work as an intern? But getting credible, market delivered material in your portfolio, you can do something like that in 3 months' time, and it's not bad. Plus, a lot of companies, there's times where the internship, like for example, the summer, are very full. It's harder to get into. But if you're trying to get a fall or a winter internship, a lot of people are in school, much easier to get there. Your competition is way, way down. So it might be something to consider. And it's not as good as a full-time job, although many internships do lead to jobs. But building out that portfolio, good advice from your wife. And I think if you can augment that with a few kind of market-delivered things, it's not a bad plan. The strength of the portfolio is that if you have a bunch of work there, and the majority of work has been published, is out there, was for someone, was a job. It just you're in the top 20% of people who are entering this market. It just helps immensely. So I would at least poke in that direction. Another area you can do that can be really helpful is nonprofit type stuff. There's a lot of those type groups that need help. Nobody's knocking on their door because they're not paying. But you can go in, do something for a week or 2 weeks in that space and get some great material for a portfolio. You're not really, costing yourself much, and it just helps build it up. Anyway, back to your mail. It says, Sean humbly mentioned my name. Jesus, Sean. Anyway, Sean humbly mentioned how successful he thought He was until he met you. Haha, oh, Jesus. I know that you have experience working in Japan and that you think making good money is a yearly salary of $500,000, as mentioned in a recent video. I just wanted to reach out and see if you had any advice if you're in my situation, starting from nothing and building up to a good spot in the future. Um, I'll give you some. By the way, on the yearly salary, I don't know. It's going to depend on where you're going, but and it's a careful balance. I believe it's right when you're thinking about your career to think about how can I make money, how can I make more money, but you can't do it in an obsessive way. You still have to have fun. You still have to enjoy what you do. And a lot of people can get very wrapped up in making change and lose the big picture. But if you believe in yourself and you believe that your upside is limitless, then yeah, you should be shooting for that $500,000 salary. If you're in comics, if you're in the design field, you should view that as achievable. That doesn't mean you beat yourself up. So you should not do that. If you're not making that kind of money, but it means you should have hope that if you're not making that money today, that money is out there for you somewhere in the future for you to go grab. And in a lot of cases, it's hustle and hunger that can get you there. And in just unlocking some of the tricks. I think, the best part of advice I could give you and anyone for starting the career is, what is the core of your career? What is the artifact? So for many people, if you're say in a finance field or a sales field, well, no, actually they're different. So a sales field, it's how many how many skins have you put up on the wall? How much money have you made? I had a sales guy come by, across my way recently, and we were reviewing them, and there was no resume of the work. It was a bulleted list of the money they made. Like, I hit this yearly target and I brought in $1.2 billion this year. Like, it was some just facts. That guy got the job because that's what mattered. If you're in finance, a really good resume that talks about some of the initiatives, some of the programs you've led, managed, some of the cost-cutting measures you may have done, these are all relevant. If you're in graphic design, it is that portfolio, it's that book. That's the you take with you. You may have jobs in 800 companies, but it's your portfolio. That's your core. And so what you want to do is make that core as amazing as humanly possible. If you're looking to do freelance work, get business for yourself, then your network becomes very, very powerful. Do you have a mailing list? Are you managing that kind of stuff? But if you're, based on what you're saying, motion designer, that kind of thing, you want to work in companies. So therefore, your portfolio and your book becomes very, very critical. And so anything you can do to fill that book is going to help you. And that's why I say the way to cheat, because a lot of people, they need to fill the book in order to get their first job so they can fill the book with real things. So they'll have a lot of their own stuff. And this is where I see a lot of people making a mistake, because in their portfolio, they put a bunch of things that are maybe interesting to them. And, I've seen advertisers, graphic designers, etc., who are, into Dungeons and Dragons or sci-fi or whatever. And so they have, advertising examples that they're going to take into an agency to try and get a job with that they came up with on their own, but they're cheesy and stupid. They're for product. They're not for real products, or they're for things that don't feel real. I mean, what you should do is, if you're trying to build up that portfolio, is you should be showing examples. Now, you don't lie about it. You don't say, this was published, but you should be showing examples of things people know, and a variety of them. What are the most popular things out there in a number of different fields? Do work around that so your book has realism to it. And then, you want to cite, this is, for example, only, not a real project, everything else. But what you're basically telling that employer is, these are, if I was working on your real brands, I would treat them with respect, and here's how I would do it. The other thing, very, very specific for you, and a couple other fields would benefit from this, but I would give you this advice, is do some research into the property itself. So, for example, if you're looking at your portfolio, whether it's a digital one or a book one, do some journey mapping or some persona work along with your design. What I mean by that is show some intelligence about the brand and what you're doing. So, for example, if you were, I don't know why, a friend of mine was recently talking about this. If you were going to do a project for the online game Fall Guys, then, show your design of what you would do, show your creative work for Fall Guys, but also have a page or a little section in there next to your design that talks about how much money it made last year, what is the demographics of the people who play Fall Guys, what is it they like, what are other products that they tend to do. It shows some basic research. In many cases, this will take you all of, a half an hour to gather the information and just put it together in a structured way. Or frankly, 5 seconds on, ChatGPT could also give you this information. But doing that helps a lot. And what it tells the employer is like, hey, in addition to just doing the design, I actually try and figure out what in the hell I'm doing the design for. I try and figure out who are the type of people who would buy it. Who are we advertising or marketing to? Who are we, who is this for? And it's one of those things that just sets you apart. And when you're trying to get a job, that's what you got to do. You want to figure out how to set yourself apart from others. Everything I've said, by the way, in this entire video is relevant to comic artists and comic creators too. The more you show intelligence about what it is that you're doing, the better you're going to be. Yeah, because a lot of people do not. So for what it's worth, that'd be my advice. Anyway, we'll wrap up this mail. It said, I'm sorry for a long email. Just got to the point where I didn't know where else to turn to on ideas. I hope it's helpful. I truly appreciate any advice, but I'd happily accept a fuck off as well. No, never. Thanks for reading. Okay, cool. And there's a link here to see the work, and I'll go check that out as well. And if I have other thoughts, I will reach out to you. But best of luck in your job search. Getting work in Japan right now is hard. It's a tougher climb. I would recommend you get out there and get some real work, build on that portfolio. It is definitely, it's on my mind too, supporting your family and, being the man of the house and all that stuff. Definitely, I've always felt the same in my entire life. So I totally get it. The best way you could do that is focus on the core that's going to be the money and just, relentlessly go through that. It's of course important to bring home a check, but one thing you can do for your wife or your kids or your family or whoever is show enthusiasm, momentum, and effort and strength into whatever it is you are doing. So if you don't have a job, go at building these materials up. Go at researching where you could go. Show that effort. Your wife will appreciate it. I mean, it's one thing to bring home a check, but just showing that effort shows what kind of man you are, quite frankly. And I have other friends who they don't have a job, and the wife's out working, and the wife comes home and finds him like, yeah, I've been playing Fortnite for the last 6 hours, and look at these, look at the kills I got, and it's like that's less impressive to the spouse than when they come home and go, hey, I researched these 3 companies and I don't know if I could get into any of them, but this one seems good and this is what I'm doing. That kind of spirit is, it helps. Helps you, helps it. Anyway, best of luck. Thanks for reaching out. Hope it's helpful. And thanks for listening.